Hi, and welcome to my channel. My name is Casey, and today's reading is all about what Spirit wants to talk to you about. I wanted this one to just be like a conversation. What do you need to hear right now? What's going on in your life? What is something that needs to be talked about to you? And I'm specifically going to be channeling from your spirit guides, from the universe, or, from your ancestors. Whatever needs to come forward will come forward. So go ahead and pause, figure out which reading you feel most drawn to. Today we have pile 1 with the blue lace agate and the hills card. For pile 2, we have the malachite and the target card. And for pile 3, we have the carnelian with the handshake card. So like I said, go ahead and pause, figure out which one you feel most drawn to. There will be timestamps down in the description box below so you can quickly jump to whichever reading that you want to listen to. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, pile 1. If you chose the blue lace agate, then this is the reading for you. I want to let you know that today is like a particularly windy day, and because of that, the clouds keep moving around, and so the video might go from being super bright to like super dark just because I'm right in front of a window, so keep that in mind if that bothers you. But you have a really interesting reading here today, and what I mean by interesting is I'm using this oracle deck called the Tea Leaf Fortune cards, and there's 200 cards, and 12 out of those 200 have to do with months of the year, and you happen to get one, and it happened to be the month that is about to come up. So I think timing is very important for your reading. Now I'm filming this in March, and the card that you got is April, so that's the month that's coming up when I'm filming this. But keep in mind that you could be watching this in the future. It doesn't necessarily, you don't need to be watching this right when I post it, but it could be that the month of April is somehow important, or the next upcoming month for you. I think the timing here is really important because since this is 1 month away from me, I want to say 1 month from whenever you're watching this, or maybe the month of April, whenever that is in relation to you, could be important time-wise. Now getting into this, I can't get too specific on the details of what is going on in your life because this is a general reading and it doesn't exactly tell me those specifics, but in general, what I think is going on for the majority of you that were drawn to this reading is there's a big sense of frustration in that something's not happening as quickly as you wanted it to. And I have this analogy that came to mind because I was looking at this Seven of Pentacles reversed, clarified by the frustration card. There's a big frustration around something not growing, something not coming to fruition when you wanted it to come to fruition, something that's taking a lot longer than you wanted it to, because the Seven of Pentacles card is all about growth. You see this guy who's literally sitting and watching these pentacles grow, waiting for them to bloom so that he can harvest them. But with it being reversed, it's almost like, why hasn't this thing come yet? And I'm imagining you've just planted your seeds in I don't know, the fall. I don't know. I'm not a farmer, so I don't know the exact best time to plant. Maybe it's summer. But you planted them and now you're in winter and you're like, why is it not blooming yet? Why has it not bloomed? But you have to realize you're in winter. No matter how badly we want things to come to us, they don't come on our timetable. It's not going to happen when you want it to happen. Whatever this thing is, it will happen on the universe's timing. It's going to happen in divine timing. And for you, maybe you're in the middle of, a quote unquote, a mental winter and you're waiting for it to bloom, but it's not going to bloom in winter. You have to wait for spring, but spring is right around the corner, which is why I think it's really interesting that you got the April card, which is the midst of spring and also 1 month from you. I think if you give it a little bit more time, I think whatever you're waiting for is going to happen. It is still going to happen. It's right around the corner, but it's not going to happen on the timetable that you're hoping for, which I know is frustrating. But the thing that Spirit actually wants to talk to you about today is learning to deal with that frustration, because I think that is what's going to hinder you the most right now. You can't wait to live until this thing happens. You are where you are right now. You're in the present right now, and things maybe aren't exactly the way that you want them to be, but you can't just say okay, I'm going to start living at X, Y, and Z date, when things start working out for me, when this thing is coming to fruition. You can't do that. If you keep putting things off, you're never going to be able to fully live. You need to learn to live right now. And I think something Spirit's asking you to do, you have the cleanse card clarified by Temperance reversed. Anytime that I see Temperance reversed, it always makes me think of impatience or the lack of ability to be where you are right now, to just be where your feet are. I think that you're a very cerebral person. You're constantly up in your head, and you're always wondering and worrying about the future, constantly anxiously thinking about what's going to be happening a month ahead, what's going to be happening 3 months, in the next year. But, it's important to be prepared. It's important to care about our future. But if you're constantly worrying and living in a time that you're not in, you're not able to be where you are right now. And I think if you were to look around, there's a lot that you have to be grateful for right now. There's a lot that you have to enjoy right now. And it might be overlooked because you're so busy worrying about the future, worrying about expenses, or worrying about X, Y, and Z, that you're not able to just sit down and look around and say, okay, what am I doing right now? How can I be fully invested mentally in what I'm doing in this current moment? And you also have the nest card here, and this says, an emotionally secure, loving family is important to you. I think another thing that Spirit wants to talk to you about is, like I said, you're worrying so much about the future that your mind is mentally elsewhere. And I want to direct you to a book that I didn't read the book, I read like the first chapter, but the first chapter was so important to understand that I would recommend you just go to like a Barnes & Noble and pick up this book and just read like the first chapter. And it's called Being Where Your Feet Are, I think. It's something akin to that. Probably in the psychology section or like the self-help section. But it was essentially about how people, the main reason that they can't have a work-life balance is because they themselves have not made the decision that they want to. Everybody talks about like they wish their boss would give them more time off, or they wish that they could just have their schedule this way, or if there just wasn't a project here, then I could have a work-life balance. And the truth is, we can't control that, but we can control our own mindset. And if when you get off work, whatever time it is, and you walk into the house and you're still thinking about work, you're not at home. You're not living your life. You're still at work. Even if mentally you're just thinking about emails, you're thinking about what you need to do tomorrow, you're worried about if this project is going to get off the ground. You could have your kids or your family or your spouse right in front of you and you're not there with them. You're a million miles away. And something Spirit is telling you with this nest card is your family, your friendships, your life, the present is very important to you. And overlooking it is something that you are choosing to do in favor of worrying about the future. And I understand how important the future is. I understand how important finances can be. I understand that. I'm not saying to not worry about it, but I'm saying that you need to start setting some boundaries between yourself and your work. Something that I have personally done in the past is I'll say like, okay, after 8 p.m., I'm no longer worrying about this thing that I've been worrying about. Like this is my time to rest. This is my time to relax. I am banishing those thoughts from my mind. That is something that I can work on tomorrow in the daylight, but right now is my time for resting. And I feel like that's something that you could do the same with your work. You could say, all right, as soon as I cross this threshold into my house, or as soon as I clock out, or as soon as I do XYZ action, then I am no longer in work mode. I'm now in family mode. I'm now thinking about, okay, what am I going to do for dinner? What am I going to do to hang out with my family? What are we going to do tonight? Are we going to watch a movie? Be fully invested there and learn to set those boundaries, especially if it's like a physical thing that you do, like walking through a threshold or clocking out. Let yourself take that moment of doing that action to have that mental switch of work to now life, to family time, because that will eventually like Pavlov you or trick your mind into associating doing that thing with switching off your work mind or switching off your worry mind. And I know, like I said, it's easier said than done, but our minds want to control things so badly. They want to control outcomes. They want to control the future. And the truth is that we just don't have control over that. Things will happen on the universe's timing. Things will happen when they are meant to happen. And I see how frustrating it is to you because I think you're leaning a lot on, X, Y, and Z working out. You really need it to work out. It's going to determine a lot for yourself, a lot for your future. But that doesn't change the fact that you can't control it. But what you control is where you're at right now. You can control your relationships with your family. You can control your mindset, the way that you appear for them. And if all your partner sees is you stressing, is you upset, if your kids, if that's all they see, they start to absorb that. They start to wonder, am I not doing enough? What am I doing wrong? I should be better at helping them de-stress. And it's putting this extra stress on these people that it's not their fault, but they don't realize that, especially kids. Kids are such intelligent beings. They really absorb everything that we give them. And if all you're giving them is, half of yourself while the other half is mentally somewhere else, that kid is going to be thinking like, what do I need to do to entertain them? Why aren't they paying more attention to me? Do they not love me? Am I not giving them enough? Am I not good enough of a child? Or, your spouse is going to be like, am I not attractive enough right now? Why aren't they paying enough attention to me? They used to shower me in attention, but now they're so fixated on these other things. Or they're going to be thinking, why am I not taking enough stress off them? Why am I not doing enough? Sometimes it can start with just a conversation. You can tell them like, hey, I'm not doing the greatest. I'm really under a lot of stress. I want you to know that I'm working on it. I'm trying to work on having this better mental balance. But in the meantime, I want you guys to know that this isn't your fault. Nothing that I'm doing is your fault. And you know what? Maybe they haven't even clicked in their brain that they've been putting that weight on themselves. But on some underlying level, they're feeling it. They're feeling a little off. They're like, why do I feel so much more anxious than usual? Why do I feel so much more insecure than usual? And sometimes just opening up those lines of communication and saying, hey, this is how I'm doing right now. That is what's going to help them a lot. That's what's going to help them better understand you. And it's going to help them better understand this dynamic of what it's like to live under the same roof with each other during this period of time where this thing is going on. And for you, you need to find ways to de-stress. You need to find ways to be centered and be where your feet are, like I said. With the cleanse card and the temperance reversed, it's all about how can I cleanse myself of impatience? How can I cleanse myself of worry in the meantime? Because things will happen the way that they're meant to. But how can I learn to let go of control of the outcome so that I can be a better person right now? I think that once you can get that under control, you will be so much happier being where you are that, yeah, there will still be stresses here and there, but they will be so much less monumental because at least you will be enjoying where you are right now. At least things will be good where you are right now. And there's always room for improvement. This train that you're on is going to still keep moving forward, but you can't be pissed just because you haven't gotten to the destination yet. It's just going to make everybody in your train car upset. So, Pile 1, I didn't say all this to berate you or yell at you. I say this out of love and because I personally have been there before. And I think that if you want to live a properly balanced life and you want a work-life balance, it starts with you. Later on, we can worry about what changes we can make to our work. Sometimes we can't make those changes. Sometimes it's out of our control. But we can always control ourselves. We can always control our mindset and the way that we act with others. So I truly wish you the best in this journey. I want you to know whatever it is that you're worried about is going to come to completion. You are going to get what you're working so hard for. It is coming, but it's not coming on your timetable. So if you keep telling yourself it's got to come by this time, it's not going to, but it will come when it's meant to, and it is going to come. So Pile 1, that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. All right, Pile 2, if you chose the Malachite, then this is the reading for you. And I feel like your cards, Spirit just wants to have a conversation about your work, your career, and your purpose. Whatever it is that you're doing with your life, I think and Spirit knows that what you do, it's really important to you that it has a meaning to you. That what you do is something that you care about. And I feel like you being put in a job that you didn't care about, that you feel like isn't leaving a good impact on the world, would be a waste of yourself, would be a waste of your talents. And so for some of you, this is going to be a confirmation of you're doing the right thing. You're on the right path. If you are currently chasing after a career that makes you happy, that you feel like has a purpose, let this be that confirmation that you're on the right path. But for others of you, I think Spirit wants you to take a good hard look at where are you going in life? What you're doing, is it just to make money? And don't get me wrong, money is important, especially in America. Inflation is crazy right now. I understand just how important it is to be able to provide for yourself, provide for your family. But at the same time, Spirit wants to remind you that if you decide to follow your heart, if you decide to follow what makes you happy, you will be taken care of. Abundance will find you, because I have this belief that we are not given desires so that we can just look at them and think maybe someday. No, I think we are given desires because that's what we're meant to go for. It's because the universe gave us that desire and wants to see it manifested through us. And when we choose to go after that, we will be taken care of. And it might look non-traditional. It might look like you win a lottery ticket and that's the universe's way of taking care of you in thanks for you following your heart and following what your true purpose is. Maybe it looks like that. For others, maybe the purpose that you decide to go down is a career path that is meant to support you. Nonetheless, you're getting a sign here to say that if money is your biggest concern or your biggest issue, there are other ways of making money than just throwing your life away in a job that you're going to hate. A job that's going to waste away your talents, waste away you, and make you feel unhappy in life. I think that you are somebody who's incredibly creative, incredibly caring, and incredibly talented because you're appearing here as this Queen of Cups, and she is all of that. And it would be a waste to throw your life away into a career that you don't really care about. I think it would also be a big waste of your talents because you have the Target card and the Heart card in the middle. The Heart card talks about love, deep affection, and caring, and I see just how important that is in every aspect of your life. Look at it this way, all right? Think of your career, right? This is something that you're spending the majority of your life in, right? You don't have a choice. You have a choice in what kind of career you want, but unless you are born like a Nepo baby that makes a ton of money just because your parents are rich, you gotta have a job. You gotta have a way of providing for yourself. But the choice that you have is in what you decide to do. And you also have the Target card. This talks about you being a goal-oriented person. This makes me think that you are extremely hardworking. You're extremely persevering. You are somebody that you could go into a field that you don't really care about, and you could persevere. You could prosper. You could get to the top of that field because you are very smart. You are very intelligent. But when you get to the top of that, it's going to be hollow. It's going to be empty. And you know that. You know that you won't be able to be happy in a field that you don't care about. Something that you're devoting your life to. And so I want to give you an analogy of when you choose a life partner, you're choosing somebody to spend your life with. Are you going to choose somebody just because they have a ton of money? I mean, some people do that, and it's valid, but it's not going to make you happy. And a majority of your life is going to be weighed down by this thing that doesn't truly make you happy. And so look at your career this way. Why do you need to make sacrifices there if you wouldn't make a sacrifice in your love life? And I want to show you, with this Queen of Cups card, I talked a bit about how I can sense that you are an extremely creative and intelligent person, somebody very willing to persevere, somebody who cares a lot. If you apply those parts of yourself to any field, you're going to be able to make it. You're going to be able to have abundance. But if you only look at certain fields like lawyer or doctor or like a trade, you're going to think, all you're going to be able to think about is, it's guaranteed to make money. That's true. But any other field could also make you money. It just might take a little bit of harder work, but it's worth it in the long run if it's something that you care about. And if you don't know what it is that you care about, then the last thing that you should be doing is making a decision about what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Like if you're listening to this, you're like, well, I don't really know what I care about. Okay, figure it out. And then decide. But don't feel like you need to make a decision just based on how much money you're going to make. And like I said, money is important. And if you decide in the beginning, like, okay, I'm going to do XYZ job just to have it as something to fall back on so that, if later in life this passion that I decide to pursue, if it doesn't work out, at least I have this to fall back on. That's great. That's actually what I would advise people to do. One day I'm going to have kids and that's what I'll advise them to do if they're in your position, they don't know what they want to do. But in the meantime, don't feel like you need to latch yourself onto like a 10-year academic career that will later get you into a job that you don't really have any way out of. Allow yourself to be like, okay, let me just figure out something right now so I can figure out a way to pursue what I'm passionate about. There's a lot of people who became really, really wealthy, really, really popular, really, really, what's the word I'm looking for? Really accomplished in their field, but they didn't start out in that field. They started out in something else. And sometimes that makes us a better version of ourselves because we have more knowledge. But basically what I'm trying to tell you is don't feel like you need to bury yourself in a specific career and stay there for 50 years until you retire. You don't need to. There are so many different options that you could choose. And I feel like with you specifically, you're such an intelligent, creative person. You could prosper in any career, even one that you think might not be possible. Because I feel like there's a part of you that knows what you'd be interested in. Maybe it's art, maybe it's writing, and you think, well, I can only do that as a hobby because I don't think I'd actually be able to prosper there. I think you could. Like, if nobody's believing in you, let me believe in you. When I look at this card, I see how intelligent you are, how driven you are, and how much you care. And that is going to get you so much further in the field that you want to go down than any other person. Then it's going to get you a lot further than somebody that's only in it for the money. It's going to make you do it a lot longer than anybody else because it's something that you really want. Now, finally, we have the Death card and the Justice card. Now, recently, I've been trying to get through this really long book about the tarot. It's about like the history and the symbolism. If you're interested, it's a really good book. It's called, I actually have it next to me, The 78 Degrees of Wisdom. A really good book for those that really want to get into the tarot and all that it means. But I was reading the chapter about the Justice card. And the Justice card talks about free will and what free will really means. Free will isn't just us deciding that we want to change the future. That's not how it works. Free will is us deciding that we want to be fully aware of everything that has led us to this point. All of our behaviors, all of our thought processes, all of the cause and effect that has led us to a certain point. And only once you are fully aware of all of that can you then make a change. For you, if you want to make this change, you need to be fully aware of what is causing you to make certain decisions, what is causing you to lead yourself down certain paths, and what you need to do in order to choose the life that you want. And I think it also talks a lot about a self-awareness of decision making. And the Death card is about change. It's about a death of the past version of ourselves so that we may be rebirthed into the new version of ourselves. If you want to make a change and pursue what you truly want in life, you're essentially causing a death to the old version of you. It will be a major life shift. But in order for you to do this, you have to be fully aware of all the reasons that you're doing this. You need to be fully aware of what it's going to take from you because, you know, I talk a lot about how important it is to follow your heart, but I also recognize how difficult it is. This is not an easy path. It's not something for the faint of heart. But if it's something that you really want, you can do it. But you need to fully decide. Like, it's not just a whim thing like, oh, I'll go try it. Like, you need to be fully 100% in because life will knock you down. Life will knock you on your ass. Life will take things from you and life will make it really difficult. But if you persevere, life will also give you success. It will give you what you need to keep going and it will make you prosper because it wants you to prosper. Like I said, I don't think that we are given desires and things that our heart wants to pursue just to have it dangled in front of us. Like, I think that we are given those things because that's what we're meant to pursue, but it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. If you decide to go down this path, if you decide to become a writer, for instance, your first few books are probably not going to be hits. You're going to have to continue to write. You're going to have to work long hours. You're going to have to do a lot of learning. You're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to find the right editor, maybe go to multiple different publishing houses because maybe the first 5 don't take you. But if it's something you really care about, if it's something that you really want, the universe will open the path to you. But like I said, it doesn't mean there's not going to be roadblocks. It doesn't mean there's not going to be speed bumps. It doesn't mean there's not going to be craters in the middle of the road. But you need to find a way to get through those if this is something that you really care about. Because that's what the path is going to look like. The path is not easy, but it is worth it if it's something that you really want. So this is where I'm going to leave you. I think you have a lot to think about regarding your career. Maybe you're at a turning point in your life. Maybe you're young, you're about to go to college. Or maybe you just graduated college and you're like, where do I go from here? Or maybe you're older and you're just looking around at your life and you're like, I'm not happy. But you don't need to stay there. You know, a lot of people think that, oh, I'm stuck here. I got a mortgage, I got all these bills to pay. I can't just quit this. Okay, maybe it doesn't look like quitting. Maybe it looks like doing less hours. Maybe it looks like putting in more time in this other thing. Maybe it looks like doing night classes. Like I said, it's not going to be easy, but if there's a will, you have to find a way. But it's you that has to find a way. Nobody else is going to find it for you. If you want to make a change in your life, you can. But like I said, it's going to be tough, but it is worth it. I see how much you care about this thing, and it deserves to be created through you. So, pile 2, that is where I'll leave you. I really hope that this reading finds you when you need it the most. I hope it helped you, but that is everything that I have. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye. Okay, pile 3, last but certainly not least. I got a really tough message for you here today. And it's something I wasn't expecting, but right when the cards first started coming out, I was reminded of, right before I started sitting down to do this reading, I was on TikTok, and one of the last TikToks that I saw was one of those Reddit stories, and it was about this dad who was talking about his son. The dad grew up with, his dad was very physically abusive, and he just found out that his son's girlfriend, who's really sweet, who he's been with for like 3 years, comes to the dad's house, and she's beat up. And now he's confronted with, what am I going to do with my son? What am I going to say? What am I going to do? He lets the girlfriend stay with them for a few weeks, and he finally comes to the decision that he's going to invite the son over for dinner. And he looks at his son, he's talking to his son, he doesn't bring anything up, and then he finally confronts him. And it eventually leads to him beating up his own son and showing him what it's like to be the weaker person. And then he disowns that son and he kicks him out and basically says, "You're not welcome here, you're not my family anymore." And then he breaks down crying. And I just thought, like, God, what a heart-wrenching decision to make. I don't even know what I would do if I had a son. I certainly wouldn't be able to beat up my son. I'm pretty small. If I had a son, I probably would, that wouldn't be the route that I go down. But it's like, what do you do when you're confronted with this person you've known all your life, or this person that you've cared for so deeply, and they have disappointed you in the worst way? And I feel like maybe that's not the exact thing that's going on with you, but something similar. So the cards here that we got for you are the month of November, and then the flute card, which says disappointment in a friend or lover. The November card could be somebody born in November. Maybe the person that really hurt you was born in November, or maybe whatever happened in November. It could be for whenever you're watching this, or maybe it's going to happen in the future. Maybe you're in October when you're watching this. Whatever it is, there's going to be great disappointment in somebody close to you. Like, I'm feeling like it could be disappointment akin to the story that I just told you about. Like, you realize that your child, somebody that you raised, somebody that you wanted to build them up to be an amazing person, and they just do something irredeemable. And so now you're wondering, where do I go from here? And I think something Spirit is telling you is the decision is within you, of course. The decision shouldn't come from Spirit or the universe. I think when you're in this, you might feel like you want to pray, like, what should I do? Like, God or the universe, what should I do in this situation? But the decision has to come from you. And when I look at the Strength card clarified by the Three of Wands, the Strength card for me, when I looked at this, talked about standing strong in your morality, standing strong in what you believe in. I think no matter how much you care for this person, you have to really take a straight up look at what they did. And if this was a stranger who did this to another stranger, or did whatever happened, what would you advise those people? What would your opinion be of them there? What do you think is right in this situation if you take all emotion out of it? That doesn't mean that we make decision without any emotion, but I really want you to look at, if this was a situation of cheating or abuse or lies, and you are on the brunt end of it. Like, let's say in that situation, you were the girlfriend who got beat up. A part of you is still going to love this person no matter how badly they hurt you. But you need to be strong in your morality and say, okay, is it right for me to stay in this situation? Is it right for me to allow them to get away with this? And with the Three of Wands, this is all about looking at the future and how we move forward. And I think that decision of how you move forward needs to be your own. And it needs to come from not just an emotional place, but really look at your morals. Look at, like, if this happened to your child, or if what happened here happened to somebody you really care about, not just happened to you, how would you feel then? What decision would you hope that they make? Really sit down and think about this for a long time, because whatever happened here, this seems like a life-altering kind of issue. Where even if you decide to stay friends or stay family with this person, stay close to them, it's going to forever alter your dynamic with them. It's going to forever alter the way that you look at them. Maybe things will never be the same. But moving forward, your decision has to be your own. And it needs to be a decision that you will 100% back, with 100% strength of your morals, of who you are as a person, what you care about, what you believe in. This decision needs to be in alignment with all of that, because anything else, it's going to crumble you. If you're not 100% sure of your decision, you move forward, you're going to constantly be wondering, what if I made the wrong decision? What if it should have been something else? Before you make this decision, it needs to be something that you will stand behind 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Finally, you have the Rejection card and the Ace of Cups. The Rejection card to me is one of the cards that really made me think about that story that I told you, about how when I look at this Rejection card, it made me think about how that dad ousted his son from the family. His son. How tough is that? But he did so because of this Ace of Cups card, because of love, true love. Love for his family, for the example that he's setting for them. Love for that girl, this girlfriend who became a part of that family. Love for the little version of himself that used to be hurt by his dad. He had to make this extremely difficult decision to reject his own son, to kick out his own son of his family. But he knew it was the right decision to make. He knew that that decision was coming from a place of love, not just for his son and who he hopes that his son can eventually turn into, and hopefully that son can turn his life around and never do something like that again. Hopefully in the future there could be forgiveness or change. But he also did it for the love of those around him, for his daughters that he was setting the example for, of if this were to happen to you, if you were to be the one to be beat up, I would hope that the dad or the person in charge would take care for you instead of taking care for the abuser. Setting the example is extremely important. And so whatever you decide on, it's going to be your decision, of course. But you need to really think, like, how is this decision going to affect those around me? If my partner was hurting me and our kids were watching, what decision am I setting for them by allowing this person to stay or allowing this person off the hook? What decision am I setting for those watching? What decision or what example am I setting for myself for the future if I let this thing pass or if I cover this thing up? It needs to be something that you will 100% stand behind morally. And the reason that I tell you, like, think about this as if it were happening to strangers, is because when our emotions get involved, especially like if I was a parent, I don't know what I would do. If it's my child, how heart-wrenching to never to burn that bridge between you and your own child. But also, like, as the viewer of that story, watching that story, I think, yeah, that was the right decision to make. And sometimes it's a lot easier to make those decisions when we don't have emotions involved. But imagine how hard it was for that dad. And so I really want to leave you with this, that whatever decision you make, everybody's going to have an opinion. Everybody's going to have their own opinion of what you should do. Maybe strangers online if somehow this story got leaked online. But whatever the decision is, it needs to be yours. And it needs to be something that you will stand behind. And you need to lead with love. But sometimes love doesn't mean forgiveness. Sometimes love is doing what is best for those around us. And it's tough. Sometimes the loving decision is the decision to kick out our kid. Sometimes that's the loving decision. And it's whatever the decision is, it needs to be yours. And you need to stand behind it like the strength of a pillar. It cannot be something that you're unsure of. It cannot be something that will crumble under the weight of what if. It needs to be something that you are 100% sure of. So, pile 3, that is everything that I have for you. I truly wish you the best, and I hope that you find peace in whatever decision you make. Whatever you're going through, I know it can't be easy, but the only way forward is through. So, that is everything that I have for you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.